important thing, I think. And in order to get us to the same wavelength, let's start with introduction. And I think that our trailblazers could be good ones. So Merle, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Well, thank you everybody who waited. It's going to be a good panel, I think. My name is Merle Livan, and as you get it from here, I do have a lot of titles because I'm really passionate to save the oceans and waterways. Because as a professional swimmer, I really understood really early on that we can't just take in sports. You can't take the moments and shine on a TV. So I hold Ocean Ambassador title, Earth Day Ambassador title, World Cleanup Day Ambassador title. I actually was chosen last year by World Economic Forum as a front voice for climate, and 6 people in the world only got it, so I'm really proud of that. And then I have 5 Guinness World Records because I use my swimming skills and my worries about the water pollutions to raise awareness. And I'm Estonian who lives in Miami, so why not? And I'm known as a mermaid, clearly.
Hi, you will probably wonder, what is a Belgian doing in a panel at the Estonian site? Well, I happen to work a lot in Estonia, particularly with teachers. I believe that the future depends on our capacity to inspire young people to do things that the parents never imagined before. And thanks to my friend Ava Oit, we have published a series of my books in Estonian. And I have been very privileged now for 5 years, every summer, to spend a week with Estonian teachers to inspire them how to get the great positive message of the possible to the kids. And so I also had a privilege of being in Hiiumaa and in Saaremaa, and actually I was chairman of a company that owns the bioplastics filmmaker in Hiiumaa. So I was but that position I relinquished 6 weeks ago. So I have a lot to see with your country, and I think you are not at all making the great use of the potential of your short coast along the Baltic Sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Merle. So here is one speaking for problems, the other one about opportunities, and then we have Tallinn, Krista, also warrior for the city.
Yeah, I even don't know how to start. I'm just an ordinary Estonian woman, I have to say. But at the moment I have 2 titles. I'm Krista Campus, and my permanent, we have one speaker arrived, Tadashi from OECD. Woohoo! Please, what is yours? So I'm the head of the EU and international relations of the city of Tallinn, but also at the same time I am the executive director of Tallinn European Green Capital. You might maybe know that Tallinn has or holds that title this year, and I have to say that this is the very last event of Tallinn European Green Capital. But when it comes to the city of Tallinn, then of course we have actually, city has 46 kilometers long coastal line. So in that sense, the good health of the Baltic Sea is of course important for the city and for the citizens of Tallinn. And I also believe that sea starts from where you are, where we are as the person. So every action matters. Both action as individual, but also action as the city. Thank you.
And our last guest, it's okay, all good, and we just before we started, and it's just warming up, I think. So Tadashi, please introduce yourself, and then we're going to go on with the panel.
Sure. Thank you very much for feed me. Be patient. My name is Tadashi Matsumoto. I'm a head of unit working on sustainability, urban sustainability. And we have a dedicated team in OECD working on circular economy and blue economy. As you know, my colleague Obiana Romano, who is not coming to Paris, coming to Dubai from Paris. So I'm actually representing her to talk about our very important project and the unique project on the blue economy citizen visions. So nice to meet you, and then again, apologies for my, how do you call it, poor orientation.
I think this is COP, so this is okay. And actually we have also one person who couldn't come here even. He is speaking from Helsinki, he's president of HELCOM, and he's going to highlight also about some keywords about state of the Baltic Sea. So we, in the beginning, dig into the data from HELCOM and also from OECD. Then we want to hear some inspirational stories, and then we end up really this green year with you, that what can city science influencers do to even make it matter and make it change what's happening. So Anni, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, regrettably I cannot join you in person today, but I'm very pleased to be able to contribute a short message by video. About a month ago, HELCOM launched its State of the Baltic Sea 2023 report, which summarizes the main findings from our third holistic assessment of the Baltic Sea. This assessment is the most comprehensive overview of the state of the Baltic Sea environment ever produced. Unfortunately, the results are sobering. Despite decades of effort, the Baltic Sea is not in a good state. This is reflected in particular by the continued degradation of biodiversity, ultimately due to human activities. Eutrophication, pollution from hazardous substances, land use, and overfishing remain the biggest pressures. In addition, climate change increases the risk of biodiversity loss in the Baltic Sea and aggravates the impacts of existing pressures. Our region is already warming faster than the global average. The impacts of climate change have increased in recent years, and this trend is expected to continue in the near future. Urgent and decisive action is imperative to reverse current negative trajectories and to protect and restore the Baltic Sea ecosystem. Fortunately, the assessment also highlights that when regional measures are implemented, they can have a positive impact on the environment. HELCOM's 2021 Baltic Sea Action Plan is a cornerstone in addressing these challenges. Agreed upon by all Baltic Sea countries and the EU, this plan aims to strengthen biodiversity, alleviate environmental pressures, and enhance the overall health of the Baltic Sea ecosystem. It's a roadmap that contains concrete measures and actions to be implemented by 2030 at the latest. Crucially, the plan also aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the EU Marine Strategy Framework Directive, emphasizing global and regional commitment to the cause. Coordinated regional actions have already yielded success with reductions in nutrient inputs and hazardous substances, as well as actions for biodiversity conservation, showing promising results in certain areas. Such coordinated measures are essential to enable the recovery of the Baltic Sea ecosystem over time. Among current key priorities, lowering the input of nutrients to regionally agreed maximum levels in all sea basins remains a central objective. In addition, strengthening the coordination of management measures to limit the introduction of a wide range of hazardous substances is needed. Sea-based activities also need to be carried out more sustainably. Transformative change is therefore called for at all governance levels and across all socioeconomic sectors to protect and rebuild the ecosystem and halt existing negative trends. In this joint effort, local and regional governments emerge as pivotal players, translating global commitments into actionable measures on the ground. By fostering collaboration, raising awareness, and implementing tailored initiatives, they can drive transformative change at the grassroots level. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. I wish you all a fruitful discussion today.
So thanks. This is from this institution who is joining all those countries who are around Baltic Sea. So those messages are sobering, but then again we see that there could be also solutions and also really real life action. And also maybe one thing that sometimes we hope that okay, we compare with the big picture, then it's not so bad. So maybe Tadashi, you can add on that wavelength and also show your presentation, which you also would use. So go ahead.
Thank you. So basically my contribution today will be talking about the OECD Global Survey on localizing the blue economy. So blue economy sector, such as fisheries, tourism, and port activities take place, create value, and provide employment at the local level. So OECD's estimate of the value of the ocean economy is US $1.5 trillion in 2020, which is a conservative estimate. And there's a growing momentum for the blue economy, growing number of national strategies and policies, and also as well as international declarations. Our perspective here is that only very few initiatives, declarations, and frameworks recognizes subnational governments' crucial roles in this field. So that's why we try to fill the gap. How or what the blue economy looks like at the local level, to understand the role of the cities, and understanding the multi-level governance of the blue economy challenges and priorities. So this survey went to 81 responses. Well, collected 81 responses from 36 countries, both OECD and non-OECD. And we have 3 key messages. So 3 key messages. The first one, blue economy is a driver of urban and regional development. So we are seeing that 89% here, yes, 89% or 87% of the respondent countries are recognizing the role of local economy, or blue economy in local GDPs and jobs, right? As you see in this number, very relevant, all relevant. So this is very important that you know how blue economy is conceived in this place. However, the blue economy is not always clear. It's what we are saying, looking at environmental impact of the blue economy, particularly at the local level, is substantial. Looking at, for example, waste, pollution, and are quite large. In a sense, so blue economy needs to be greened by the work at the local level. Now, looking at the threat to the blue economy at the subnational level, as you see, as expected, climate-related threat is number 1, and you see environment, but you also see economic problems. Coming to the water risks here, cities are increasingly exposed to water risks. As you see, these climate challenges are not really, yeah, not very clearly seeing this number here, but as you see, 60% of the global population will face water problems and water issues by 2050. Again, I'm seeing a little bit not very good slide. So this is also showing the challenges and then how the challenges should be overcome. The climate threat to the water, to the blue economy should be overcome in two ways. One is to mitigate, and then one is to adapt, as you see. And then there are 4 different dimensions to address these threats. I don't think I'm not going to go into these things, but you understand these 4 dimensions here, as you see. Mitigation, you see, sustainability and the circular economy, which will play a very important role. Not only just adapt, but to mitigate the threat is very important. Actually, this is a final slide showing the importance of the governance, right? So multi-level governance is key, particularly when you look at subnational government. The challenge you see is, yes, major challenge is finance and technology, but if you look at the other items here, for example, unclear allocation of roles and responsibilities at the local level, for example, or let's say lack of clear and holistic blue economy strategies. This is between both at the local and national level, and sometimes if there are plans and strategies, alignment is an issue. So again, this survey is a kind of overview of what is recognized as important, what are the challenges and so on. But based on that, we are going to look into more details, like case studies by different cities, also creating a sort of community of practice, exchanging ideas from different cities and so on, to look into those challenges and the opportunities more closely, and then to provide or to support developing solutions together. So that's our contribution. It's a short presentation, but I hope we can do some more discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Actually, so a lot of administrative words, percentages, things. But let's take this last word, pledge. So if Tallinn would have blue pledge, what should it be like compared to you?
First of all, again, thank you for the invitation. Let's be very clear. I wrote a book in 2009 called The Blue Economy. It was adopted by the Governing Council of UNEP in 2009 in December, and now we have 23 governments with the Ministry of the Blue Economy. But we have more cities actually adopting a blue economy department. And the most important recent ones where I was about 10 days ago was Barcelona. Barcelona decided to start focusing on blue economy with a very simple observation. The observation was that 6 cruise ships in front of Barcelona polluted more air than all the cars of Barcelona together. And what's the use of having cruise ships? And what's the use of having limitations imposed on your local population when 6 cruise ships pollute more than ever the cars in the city? And I think there are some political decisions that need to be made. And the political decision cannot just be ban the combustion engine but celebrate the cruise ship. That is not possible. So I think, first of all, from a policy-making point of view, there has to be a clarity in the overall concept. Second, I always suggest that cities first of all make what I call a portfolio of the opportunities. Portfolio of opportunities. You want problem analysis? You can get books, libraries, buildings full of analysis of the problem. We don't need any more of that. We need to know where are the pressure points so we can pass on to action. And when I look at Tallinn and I look at the coastal influence of Tallinn, my first reaction is, why aren't you generating the new forests of the Baltic Sea with seaweeds? If you want to have really carbon capture, stop thinking about filling it in all the peak pits. Stop thinking about whatever things you're doing that is highly expensive and subsidizing the engineers. Just bring biodiversity back to the Baltic Sea, and that starts by creating the forest of the sea, which is seaweeds. And once you have seaweeds, you know, you can harvest the seaweeds, and the harvested seaweeds you can turn into biogas. Don't you have an energy issue? Or are you just saying you'll buy all the gas from Qatar and it's well priced? What we're in need of is being very pragmatic and knowing that it is perfectly possible to turn a city like Tallinn, which is fortunately not too big, self-sufficient in gas by using the regeneration of the forests of the sea. That's what we need. But if you have the regeneration of the forests of the sea, the Baltic now, then you will have places where the small fishes can hide, and they will regenerate the fish density, because they need to be able to hide. And I think the way I'm speaking to you now is the way we have to start talking to kids. I mean, if the juvenile can't hide, the big one will eat them. And the kids don't think that's a good idea. And so why is it not possible to generate a very broad educational, inspirational program? Because I mentioned the seaweeds because we don't have the time to go into the other dozen projects that I see that are viable. But when you see the opportunities, make certain the kids get it. Because it is not true that children are the ones who will change it in the future. No, when children are super motivated, they will change mom and dad. I have 6 kids, I know how it works. I mean, when the kids are full of it, you, dad, you better listen. Because they're not going to wait till they're 25 before they're going to change. They want to change you as mom or dad now. And this is the kind of practical forces that I believe we need to pull together. And if on top of that you have inspirations like a mermaid, I mean, come on. I mean, I'm sorry I had to come to Dubai to know about Merla. Because I should have known about her in Tallinn many times before. And no one talked to me about her. You know, I will write a fable about you, I'll write stories about you, because you are a fantastic inspiration. And we need you to be present. Because if we're going to have a transition towards sustainability, it's not going to only be with logic. It's going to be with passion and a great heart. And what Merle is offering us is a lot of passion and showing her great heart. With such an inspiration as this, the only thing I'm worried about is, what about the plastic? What is it made of? Silicone. Okay, it's a bit heavy. Can we make it in one of our bioplastics? You're working on it? We can give it to you tomorrow. We can mold it. Give me a mold and we'll do it. I mean, this is the way we need to do. Pass on to action. Go for it now, because there is no time to waste. Who was member of Greenpeace? No time to waste, no waste, right? I mean, this is what we have to do, so don't waste time anymore. Thank you. Member.
So, thank you. I mean, well. So, one thing what I have been doing since September is putting together with Estonia, with Miami, because I have been vocal about, okay, everybody thinks about Miami, the heat, the corals. No, I think seagrass. And that's the same with Baltic Sea. Because everybody can plant trees, but who saves really the planet is the seagrass. You can't have blue without the green. And talking about inspiration, this morning in a practice, I found middle of the ocean floor this, and I called the situation what we have caused plastemia, plastic pandemia, what has been taken over our oceans. We have been occupied them, oceans are not free, the waters are not free, and Baltic Sea is not free. And that's where I kind of put my, everyday work, showing that it's nice to be a social media model in Instagram, but it's way cooler to be a role model by picking up trash from the water. Because I think it's time to teach kids to go an extra mile. It's easy to point fingers, but we need to point towards the inspiration. And I think every single business owner, every single politician, every single adult needs to start doing, it's that person's fault, it's this government fault. No, we need to start pointing fingers to the opportunities, pointing fingers to the solutions. And if you think about, okay, why a mermaid tail? Well, I swam my latest world record, what was 50 kilometers, without using my arms. Because fishes and animals are getting stuck on fishing nets and plastic, and they can't use their arms and they can't speak. I can speak on behalf of them. And that's the way to really break the Guinness World Records and draw the world media attention. My last record, I picked up 15 kilograms of plastic while swimming 14 hours, burning under the sun, getting stung by jellyfish, seeing a crocodile, having a pollution that my suit is still yellow until today, and I'm taking that suit to Tartu Sport Museum to show that that's the reality. It's easy to go down on a fame just to be a Guinness World Record holder, but we need to do more, and that's always what I'm looking for. Because I realized that if microplastic is the biggest humanity threat for the next century, I always wonder what's going to happen with the world leaders if they eat microplastic. How it's going to affect their thinking about our security, how it's going to affect our customers in a business level, their rational thinking. So that's where my passion really comes. I took it over, sorry.
Thank you very much. Still, what would you recommend for Tallinn's Blue Pledge?
Yes. So Tallinn, we were capital of Europe this year, and I have turned the whole United Nations COP, United Nations Climate Week marketing a little bit. I'm going to swim 317 meters this Saturday because we are 317 weeks away from 2030 pledge, climate pledge. And I think Tallinn can be upfront, start counting weeks with me. And that's the blue pledge, what we can show to the world.
Thank you. So, Krista, what will you do with those weeks?
Yeah, what we will do with these weeks. Actually, for us as European Green Capital, biodiversity, including marine biodiversity, has been very important. And there is a lot of different actions around the Baltic Sea, but they are very often quite random and kind of separate actions. So we came up with the idea that we have kind of to connect the dots, and that we really have to unite all the cities and the regions and organizations around the Baltic Sea in order to have much bigger impact. So we initiated the campaign called Save Our Sea, SOS. Maybe some of you know that there we are celebrating in the Baltic Sea region Baltic Sea Day, which normally happens 31st or 30th of August. And this is actually a Finnish initiative initiated by John Nordbisen Foundation. But then we also have Let's Do It World, a campaign that actually started in Estonia. And the Let's Do It campaign, World Cleanup Day, is taking place in 16th of September. So we thought that we have to connect these dots, and we really have to involve as many cities, as many different stakeholders around the sea to join our efforts and really to work collaboratively, because I think that is extremely important, that we are working together, the cities, the companies and the citizens, because this is the best way how to raise the environmental awareness when it comes to our oceans and seas. And of course the Baltic Sea is, the environmental condition of the sea is very, very, I have to say, bad. We have so many challenges, and Helcom brought up some of them. What we did during that campaign, so our aim was to promote environmental awareness, as I said, and also to highlight the programs and challenges related to the Baltic Sea, but also increasing collective kind of responsibility in protecting the Baltic Sea. Then also we wanted to raise awareness about the small litter, like cigarette butts. They are extremely toxic. It takes 1,000 liters of water in order to no, it doesn't take, but it kind of pollutes 1,000, one cigarette butt, 1,000 liters of water. It is non-biodegradable, and it is extremely toxic for marine environment, for birds, but also at the end of the day for the people. And then we also wanted to share examples on how blue economy or at least green innovation or blue innovation technologies can help us to solve the environmental problems related to the sea. For example, City of Tallinna, we have been collaborating with Estonian startup called Filaret. And what they are doing is that they are actually collecting the cigarette butts. And they are filtrating out all the toxical substances from them. And then what remains, they are actually producing the material for 3D printers. And we helped and we collaborated with Filaret in order to, we helped them to collect cigarette butts. We installed special trash bins where the cigarette butts were put. And outcome, and actually I have to say that when it comes to that campaign, we did it in collaboration with the city of Helsinki, because Tallinna and Helsinki are like twin cities, also in collaboration with John Numminen Foundation and Let's Do It World NGO. And actually what we succeeded was that we engaged 165,000 participants around the Baltic Sea. We had 46 cities and regions participated, and 9 countries were involved. And actually one punter it was Belgium, who was also participating in this campaign, because it is not only about the countries or cities who having a coastal line, but it is also about different water bodies. And that campaign was very successful, and now there has been questions that maybe we have to continue with that campaign, because that is the way how we can really engage a lot of different stakeholders and also empower those different, maybe separate and smaller actions. So that is what we have done. But of course, when it comes to using new technologies, then we are also, of course, the company called Tallinna Vesi, Tallinn Water. They have been making quite big investments in order to improve the water treatment facilities, in order to really use very new technologies, but also in order to renew pipelines of the city of Tallinna. So yeah, I think city can do quite a lot, but I think the most important is to really raise the awareness and engage collaborate with different stakeholders.
But when I hear you, it's like so many critical aspects what's going on in the city. Still, there's a question like how to choose this action which has the most biggest impact. So that actually at the city you do a lot of research, you see different practices. What would you recommend for Tallinna's green pledge? Blue pledge?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very much interested in continuing working with Tallinn City. We've been working on circular economy, which was a very interesting experience for us, and inspiring other circular economy cities or cities who are interested in circular economy. I hope that blue economy can create this kind of network with Tallinn in the collaboration. Just one point I wanted to highlight a bit, for inspiration. I think this, agenda of blue economy is not yet, well understood, or I would reward it. There are different ways of interpreting the blue economy. So what I think is interesting for the city is to really try to redefine or even elaborate the definition of the blue economy. What do you mean? What does it mean for Tallinna City? What are the goals? What are the more, let's say, sub-goals? What do you want to achieve with it? What are the tools to do it? What are the targets? What are the monitoring tools? And so all the systems of the policy instrument, policy development to policy monitoring. Needs to be somehow articulated for this topic. I'm saying this because it's a very similar argument as green growth, for example. Yes, at some point we discussed green growth. Is this a green agenda or is this an economic agenda? Now circular economy, right? Is it an economic agenda or environmental agenda? Yes, both. The answer is always both, right? However, some people understand more towards environmental perspective, some people more economic perspective. But actually, if you are thinking, with using the same word but thinking totally different things, it doesn't work very well in terms of policy development and implementation, sometimes different directions. And then I'm saying this multi-level governance point is very important. How do you engage national level policies, and then how to engage citizens and communities. Again, alignment. You don't need to align, this thinking. It's not an alignment issue, but coordination is very important. And that I wanted to highlight a little bit for future inspiration.
Thank you, Tadashi. So what we experienced at the Environmental Investment Center, we did a background paper, and one idea is what came out that so much pollution comes from agriculture. And then we kind of understood, again, this is so wicked problem. We are looking at the sea, but actually the impacts and stakeholders come from all around. And then again, like any other green issue, it's turning wicked, and then you feel that I'm hopeless. So Günther, please, would you also say that, okay, strategy, systems in place, that makes sense to choose and go with like traditional ways, but as we said that the time is ticking, do you have some magic pill or idea what we should do then?
I can fill the next few days with what can be done. But more importantly, I can fill the days with what we have done. Because the important thing is not only what could we do, but what more could be done. And I think you touched a very important part, is that agriculture is in the end of the day a very important part. But agriculture is not working in a vacuum. Agriculture is supplying the people in the city. So you go full circle. I mean, what is happening to the city's waste? How much of the biological oxygen demand is actually ending up into the Baltic without being fully treated? And of course, I know that both the Finns and the Estonians are doing a good job, but not good enough. Because partially What we need is the resources from the city need to go back to the land. That's where the problem is. Agriculture has non-soluble fertilizers, slow-release fertilizers, because there is no nutrition coming from the city back to the land. So they're forced to buy the fertilizers from the outside. If we were to have Leonardo da Vinci's proposal from the 15th century, saying that all nutrition that comes into the city should never leave the city without being put back onto the land. And this is where we have a gap. So I don't think we can point the finger at the agriculture. We have to point the finger at the ones who are eating and the ones who are using toilets and the ones who are not using the organic municipal waste for replenishing the soil. And this is where, of course, we always need to start working on this integrated approach. I just come back from Brazil and Rio de Janeiro. I was 3 weeks before in Lagos, Nigeria. And it is so obvious that unless you get the city connected back to the land, you're not going to resolve any of it. Because both are now causing eutrophication of the sea. Because both are not connected to each other. To me, that is one of the reasons why city mayors have to have a delegate for agriculture. You have to have, and it's not only to do agriculture inside the city, that may be helpful, to do a bit more inner city agriculture, as Montreal is formally proposing. Montreal has a large investment program to do city farming on the rooftops, so that particularly in the winter time, you can enjoy both the reduction of the consumption of energy, because the rooftops are capturing the wasted heat from the inside of the buildings, and you can have the 0-kilometer transportation of food. That is one of the options. But a second option, which is more important, is the organic component that is leaving the city. In a blue economy concept, it should never end up in water. And if it does end up water, the first thing you should do is make biogas instead of anything else. You should never feed it to the bacteria with a lot of additional oxygen. So what I'm trying to say is that the cities have this incredible opportunity to reconnect with the land and avoid the excess in the rivers and in the seas. And unless we have a strategy there, unfortunately in Europe we've gone way too much for waste to energy management. We just want to burn everything because that's easy, and then we're stuck with small amounts of very toxic waste. And we don't worry about it because that is taken care of by an expert company. No, we take the example of the city of Milan. Milano reduced the organic waste to only 4%. Now this is a huge city. What do? They introduced compulsory bioplastics in all the supermarkets for fruits and vegetables. Now that was a decision by the city. And of course the supermarkets were saying, no, we're not going to do that. This is too expensive. We will have to charge people more. That is their, bullshit. That is overruled, the decision was made, and as a result, every single bag of fruits and vegetables from every shop is now used for composting. And as a result, the city of Milano is the champion in the world by reducing organic waste from the solid municipal waste. And they're getting 80 euros a ton for their compost, not the 2-3 euros, because they don't have microplastics anymore, because they eliminated at the source the problem of the plastics that today are often the single-use plastics that are being used. So, you know, it means many decisions at many different levels, but that requires, at the end of the day, leadership. It means someone who says, we're going to go.
Thank you. It goes so organically. About leadership, I see really nice businessmen from Estonia as well here around the table, and one really interesting thought lately what has been brought my attention is that sometimes you have to put also nature as a voice on the table. So if ocean or sea would have a voice, Merle, what would they say to those guys?
I just really quickly want to touch base something what I saw in my life, because I think Estonians are not aware, but I saw myself 2 years ago how we put the ventilator tubes inside the ocean, because the oxygen level went 0 for 16 hours. We couldn't start the oxygen levels in the ocean, in the water, and that was drastic. And if that happens with the water, it's going to happen all of us. It's going to happen with all our businesses, all our cities, and it's terrible. And somebody have to raise a voice for those waters, right? And that was sadly due to sugarcane fertilizers. That's what happened. And just a couple of months ago, I captured Kaubamaja. I wanted to do a deal with some brand who uses a sugarcane, and I had a talk with them, and I said, stop pledging this. You can choose, but I can show you what has happened because of sugarcane fertilizers. But we have to understand that we all are connected. Is it in Miami? Is it Tallinn? Is it Belgium? Is it Barcelona? We all are connected. We all have to do 1% better today. 317 weeks comes fast. We have to say no to the plastic in the plane, no to the plastic in a restaurant, takeouts. We have to ask better. We can be the ones, actually. Because the nature is talking with us. Just go the extra mile. Don't be afraid to ask better. And that's how you educate the businesses, the governments, the mayors. That's how you do it. Because the kids will ask you why you didn't do better. They will look into your eye and ask, what happened with my oxygen? Why there's ventilator tubes inside the ocean? Because that's already, I saw it. That was my future. And I'm only 32. I was born 91 with freedom. And I want to see the water having freedom. So be the voice for them.
Thank you. That's it for today. So Tallinn has also a reception afterwards. So everybody, let's enjoy the evening.